Hey everybody, it's December 16th, 2008. I am Sonic Suns, and there's a song you may have heard of called Bohemian Rhapsody. Starts off, is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? And I can't sing the rest of it or I'll get sued. But I think it's within my rights to give my explanation of the lyrics. Which, by the way, a couple minutes before making this video, I happened to bounce on the Wikipedia page for Bohemian Rhapsody again. And this time, last time I was there, I didn't find this. There's some link of the thing that, sort of explains it in the officials. Well, fine. I'll explain it my way. How's about that? And then I'll put up the link for what apparently is the official thing, which is kind of close. Or something. Anyway, hopefully you've heard this song before, otherwise this entire video will be meaningless to you. Hopefully, furthermore, you have, a copy of the song, legally, that you can listen to, because it sounds better when sung, rather than me just talking about it. Anyway, here's the scenario I'm going to lay out for you, and I'll justify it as I go. We start with a young man. I imagine him in his early 20s, maybe a bit younger, I don't know. Further imagine him as being black, but there's no proof of that in the song, just that there's this kind of theme of wrongful persecution, and in my country at least, there's a kind of a theme of that too. There certainly has been. He's somewhat impoverished. He comes from a poor family. Yeah. That certainly comes up a little bit later along. And he's just committed murder. Well, not just as in 2 minutes ago, but he committed murder, and he's been sentenced to jail. He's on death row, and this whole thing is just previous to his execution. Furthermore, he's repentant of this. Now, a couple points in there. For one, why did he kill somebody? Why did he commit murder? Well, doesn't really say. It could be anything. It could be anywhere from obvious self-defense, or it could be just, some vile psycho killing that he did for no particular reason. I don't know. Or it could be something kind of in the middle. Let's say he was kind of in crime because he's poor, perhaps. He could be in an armed robbery, let's say, trying to get money, which he kind of needed that money, perhaps. And perhaps he also had a drug habit. We could throw all sorts of details on here that I don't even know. Maybe he was involved, in, let's say, an armed robbery and didn't really mean to kill anyone. But, at some point he panicked. Some guy moved. He shot that guy. Oh, crap, he shot a guy he didn't really intend to. In any case, he got picked up. And he's remorseful. He regrets his actions. Now, why? Another point. He could be out of simple morality. He knows that killing is wrong, and he feels, he's disgraced himself, or he's committed a grave sin. It could be more that, he's just got caught, and he's sad that he's going to die, those are all possible. I personally imagine it as being the armed robbery thing. I don't know, that comes to mind, And furthermore, that part of it anyway is his remorse over having committed the sin of killing a person. Anyway. So the song starts out, and again, I can't fully sing it all, otherwise I'll get sued. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? This starts, I believe, with all the fellow inmates on death row. And when you're faced with something as powerful, I suppose, as preeminent as your own execution, which being on death row, every day you're going to be thinking about that upcoming execution. That throws you out of whack. I remember when I got into a car crash once, and I spent several minutes just going like, this feels like a dream, because it was so sudden and so unexpected, and furthermore I wasn't even hurt, which was kind of weird. If I'd been bleeding, maybe that would have snapped me back into reality a little more, I don't know. But they're really talking about a sense of being overwhelmed. Each and every day, I am freaking on death row. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? You were hoping it would be just fantasy, wouldn't you? Caught in a landslide, overwhelmed, no escape from reality, both literally and figuratively. There's no escaping from death row. Open your eyes, look up to the skies and see. I don't know whether you could literally see the sky from inside your cell. Maybe you go outside once in a while. Look at this, BJ. Definitely looking up, towards God, for instance, or just contemplating stuff. It's like, what the heck? Now we come into our narrator. I'm just a poor boy. I need no sympathy. I kind of imagine as maybe he's almost quoting other people's opinion of him. You're just a poor boy. We don't care about you. We haven't, and that's going to be a theme throughout this. Particularly because he's poor. He doesn't have the connections, the money, hotshot lawyers, or anything to get him out of this. There may be some prejudice against him. By the judge or jury, who knows what. I'm just a poor boy. He gets no sympathy. And he may be saying, well, sure, I don't need your sympathy, but it almost seems more like he's just quoting other people. Because I'm easy come, easy go. People are brought into the cells, people are brought out of the cells in the opposite direction, and they never could return, do they? Because that way lies the execution chamber. Little high, little low. That's pretty vague, isn't it? But I can imagine that referring to emotional states. Sometimes you're high, angry, energized, screaming at the world, and sometimes you're low, despondent. You're bouncing back and forth between things. You're on death row. Anywhere the wind blows doesn't really matter to me. For one thing, the actual movements of the wind aren't going to matter very much when you're inside like 4 feet of concrete. For another thing, it's something about despondency, of hopelessness. The various events of the world don't matter to you because you're going to die. How your stocks are doing, it doesn't matter. How your sports team is doing doesn't matter. How anyone you know, all your friends, your family, how anything might be happening to them, basically doesn't matter to you specifically because you're gonna die. And in a couple of days or weeks or hours, it won't matter to you anymore. You'll be dead, right? Anywhere the wind blows doesn't really matter to me, and generally means nothing matters. Which we'll return to that phrase, won't we? It doesn't really matter to me. To me. I'm just a narrator. Now he's talking to his mother. Now, at what time does this happen? It could be any time from like maybe immediately after the crime, or after he's gotten picked up by the police. He's at the station. Maybe it's, he's been in jail, and he gets a call or something. Maybe it's at the trial. Maybe it's much later, and he's already on death row and talking to her through the glass and everything. At some point, I don't know. And it could even be figurative. He's just saying, perhaps he's just remembering of the time he told her, or however that worked out. Maybe he himself didn't tell her. Maybe it was the authorities that said, your son just killed a man. I don't know. One way or the other. Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. This is what gives me the clue that he's committed murder. Pretty clear about that one, And thankfully we have that other lyric, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Because otherwise, the previous lyric, Mama just killed a man. Well, did his mother just kill a man? No. He's saying to his mother, I just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Again, we don't know exact circumstances of that. Mama, life had just begun, but now I've gone and thrown it all away. Life had just begun. I think he's relatively young, early 20s, like I said, maybe younger, who knows. So he had his whole life ahead of him, and now he's going to die. So he clearly does not have his whole life ahead of him anymore. But now I've gone and thrown it all away. When he says, I've thrown it all away, as opposed to, people took it away from me, this leads me to believe he is remorseful. And furthermore, the tone, as he's saying this, is remorseful. I've gone and thrown it all away. Mama, didn't mean to make you cry. That's obvious enough. She would be crying to see her son on death row. If I'm not back again this time tomorrow, carry on, as if nothing really matters. That particular line, anyway, however, whenever the other few sentences may have come in, that particular line, if I'm not back again this time tomorrow, is the night before his execution. It's like 6 o'clock Tuesday night, and it's 5 o'clock Wednesday he's supposed to die. So if he's back again, back to the visitor room where you can talk to somebody through the glass, they have in prisons, if he's not back again to talk to her at this time in this place tomorrow, it's because the execution went through. If he is back again, it's because the execution was apparently delayed or maybe revoked or something. Who knows? But he's saying, if I die, carry on. Simple, I want you to continue your life, try and find some happiness, as if nothing really matters, as if you didn't have to face the sorrow of your son getting executed.